Good day, fellows. Today we are going to do the new concept which is called the limiting reagent. Limiting reagent. What does the term implies? Simply implies it's when a reactant is completely used up in a chemical reaction. It is when a reactant is completely used up. Completely used up in a chemical reaction. You see, completely used up in a chemical reaction. We also have what? An excess. An excess reagent, sorry. It is when a reactant is not completely used up. This one, it's not. It is when a reactant is not completely used up in a chemical reaction. See, this one is not completely used up in a chemical reaction. Now let us move. Suppose if I have a general formula like this, plus B, then CC. Do you still remember in stoichiometry? I want to write the chemical equation in a form of ratios. Then I'm going to say N, which is the number of moles of A. Then I divide by the coefficient of A. Then the number of moles of B divided by the coefficient, this number or this letter B. Then I take N of C divided by C. This concept is very, very important in this topic of limiting reagent. Then now let us consider if I had something like this. Suppose if I have H2 plus N2, so it gives us NH3 to 2 balance, then 3. Then I said to you I have 2 moles of what? Of H2 and 1 moles of what? Of N2. Then I ask you which one is going to be my limiting reagent between H2 and N2. Then check. We are going to use the very same concept of what? Of the general formula, whereby I say now N of H2 divided by 3 and H2 divided by 1. Now, for me to determine as to which one is going to be my limiting reagent, I'm going to do it like this. Suppose if we take all moles of what? Of hydrogen, we decide to use all moles, 2 moles of hydrogen. We want to know as to how much of N2 are we going to need if we use the whole amount of 2 moles. Then where we see our hydrogen, we are going to substitute that 2. Let us substitute 2 divided by 3 and 2 over 1. Let's see, 2 divided by 3. You are going to get N, 2, you are going to get 0.67 mole of what? Of N2. Check. Now, if I decide to use 2 mole of this, all 2 mole. That means somehow I'm going to need 0.67 mole of what? Of N2. At this point, we can clearly see that our N2 is going to be what? An excess. Because now check, I use all of this, but I still get less mole compared to the one which they gave me. It is also true if I decide to take 1 mole. Let's see. If I decide to take 1 mole to see how much I'm going to need for my hydrogen. We take 1 mole now. It's also true. If like we decide to take the whole of this, let me erase. Let me not erase for us to be able to compare. If I take 1 mole, I use the very same formula, N2 divided by coefficient. So the N2, H2 that this side into 1. Then I decide to use now 3 to use 1 mole of this. I decide to use 1 mole of nitrogen. I cross multiply, then I'm going to get 3 mole for NH2. You see, now I used 1 mole of what? Of nitrogen. Somehow I'm going to need 3 mole of what? Of H2. Check, if I use only 1 mole, which I have, I'm going to need 3, but they only gave me 2 mole, which means my H is going to be what? Excess, sorry, limiting, because I don't have that 3, I only have 2. You see, it's also true if I decide to use 1 mole. I'm going to need 3. 3 is more than the one which they gave me there. You see, even if I use this one, if I use 2 moles of hydrogen, I'm going to need 0.67. And we can clearly see that 0.67 is less than that number of nitrogen which they gave me there initially. Clearly my nitrogen in this case is going to be what? My excess. You can choose either way, this one or this one. You are still going to get the same answer. Now we know that our H2 is going to be limiting. You see, our H2 is going to be limiting, then our N2 is going to be excess. You see, when all of 2 moles is used, that means only 0.67 of what? Of nitrogen is going to be used. This number 0.67 moles all will be used. Then how much is going to be left? It's so simple. We say 1, this 1 mole minus 0.67, we are going to get 1 minus 0.67, 0.33 mole left. Then we have 0.33 mole left for what? For N2. This is our excess. You see, I thank you, fellow learners.